Hi, and welcome to our interview with Holly Hatam. She's the illustrator of Dear Girl and Dear Boy, and her new book coming out is called A Good Deed Can Grow, written by Jennifer. I'm gonna say her name wrong.
We'll do the best we can.
A Good Deed Can Grow, written by Jennifer Chambliss Bertman. Sorry, Jennifer, if I mispronounced your name. um, this interview was great, and we hope you enjoy it.
So thank you so much for joining us, Holly.
Thank you for having me.
I should start asking a question because I know you're in Canada and I'm in Maryland and we are smelling the fires down here in New York. I hear it's horrible. Are you all right over there?
So I am, the worst of it in Ontario is Toronto is getting it. So my brother lives there and he says they're just covered. The sky is so smoky and it smells so bad. Where I am, it's like, if you can see right now, it's so hazy outside, and there have been warnings, like we haven't left the house all week long because the air quality has been so horrible, but we're better than where my brother is. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. Is this something new? I know I'm just very curious because I've never heard about this before.
It's coming from Quebec. And I think they have had fires before. I feel like I read that it was lightning that caused it. I can't be sure. But we like, my whole time being in Canada, I've never ever experienced anything like this before.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I've always heard about the fires in California. That's what we hear about. But I've never heard anything from Canada other than beautiful things out there. Oh my gosh. Well, let's hope everybody's safe and that it passes soon. This is really crazy. That's big. New York, like it has this yellow. We have the same warning, and we're down here in Maryland, and the warning of don't go outside. That the air is not that good quality right now until today. Today should be the last day for that.
I hope so. They said it should clear up by the weekend.
Oh, fingers crossed. I am pulling up your book that we are going to be looking at today. Is Good Deeds Grow? Oh, let me make it smaller so I can fit it in a page.
A Good Deed Can Grow.
A Good Deed Can Grow. Yes. Okay, and then I here it is. A Good Deed Can Grow. So if you want to hold the cover so we can see. Look at that.
It's so pretty.
And it's such a sweet book. So we're noticing a trend. You are illustrating sweet books, like books that have a pretty message. Is that something you are actively looking to do, or it just happens that you're partnered with these books?
Well, both. It's great that I get the opportunity for these projects, but they all align with my values and things that I want to share out there. But I have the freedom to turn things down. So books like this, I would never turn down.
Okay. No. It's very pretty. We finished reading it last night as well. We read it a couple of times to catch everything because we are looking at the illustrations. One thing we noticed in yours, of course, which is going to be like the big thing that we're going to talk about, is your style. I guess we should start asking you first about your journey and how did you become an illustrator? I'll start with our questions, but I'm really curious about when we get to your art style. So if you want to tell us a little bit about your art journey, how did you decide to become an illustrator? How was your whole road to becoming now quite a accomplished illustrator?
The journey was long. I've always known since I was a little girl that I wanted to be writing and illustrating books. I was always reading, I was always drawing from a really young age. But along the way, I lost my confidence in myself, so I didn't even apply to college for the illustration program. I went and studied 1 year where I dabbled in all types of art mediums, and my professor had told me that I showed promise in graphic design. So taking her advice, I enrolled in graphic design for 3 years. I got my BA in that. And out of college, I got two jobs at design agencies and quickly learned that it was not for me. I got fired from both. The first job, I don't remember why I got fired. The second job, they told me that I take too much time and I'm too detail oriented in my designs, that they were looking for a designer that just could work fast and get things out fast. So after being fired from the second job, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. So I started freelancing graphic design, living paycheck to paycheck. It was really hard. And then I designed a wedding invitation for one of my friends, and it's not, other people saw the invitation and they started asking me to design theirs. So I thought, oh, well, maybe there's something here. So I started an invitation company called Teardrop, and I ran that for quite a while. It got to the point where it was supporting us, but barely. At this time, my husband, he's also a graphic designer, and he had the regular 9-to-5 job. So I was able to take these risks because of him. And he eventually quit his job to help me, which made things harder. Like the paycheck every, I don't even know how long. Like it was a struggle to even make rent sometimes. And we did that for years. And then in 2013, I got pregnant with my son. And that's when my husband's like, okay, we have to get serious. He went back to a regular office job. And this whole time I hated running the company. The brides are really difficult to deal with. Like I hated my job every morning. I always wanted to stop the company. And I thought, well, if I don't do it now, when I'm pregnant, I'm not going to do it when the baby comes. So I shut down the company, and throughout these years, I was still drawing all the time. So I had enough work that I could just throw up on a website, and I did that. And really quickly after, I was still pregnant when I got my first book job, which is this really tiny book of poetry for kids, which I don't even think is in print anymore, but it was my foot in the door. So that was my journey, and that was long. I was probably like, I don't even know how long that was.
So was that traditionally published or self-published?
Traditionally, yeah.
So they found your website online and they picked you like that.
I think like I started going and researching really small publishers to get my foot in the door, and I would just email. I would find the contacts of the creative directors or editors and just email them. And yeah.
Okay, so you were knocking on doors.
I was working hard.
Good.
It's good to hear that though, because when people see where you're at now, a lot of beginning illustrators think, that's just how it happened. You just walk right into it, but they don't realize all the years of other things or experience you have in other areas that probably led you to where you are now.
Yes.
That's why I try to be open and real with the struggle, because a lot of people will message me and they're like, oh, it seems like you have everything and it came easy. I'm like, no, because you don't see all of the years before all of this happened.
Yeah,
exactly. That is a very good message. Yes, because it wasn't just a magical moment where you just get picked. You were knocking on doors. Good. So how did you find your agent, or when in this journey you found an agent? I'm assuming that because you're with a cat agency, which is amazing. We love that cat agency.
They're incredible.
Yeah. I was lucky enough that Christy, so she's my agent, she found me, and at the time she emailed me. She somehow found a piece of my artwork and emailed me to ask if I had an agent, and I unfortunately did at that time. And I was actually trying to get out of that contract because I just did not mesh well with that agent. So I had to say no to Christy, but the months later, when I was able to get out of that contract, I emailed her, and that's when I signed with her and when my entire life and career changed.
Absolutely. Yeah, the right connection. So if you don't mind, and you don't have to say too much, if you got, when because that's a hard decision to say, I have to let go of this agent because it's not matching up. It's a scary place to be in because you think you have something sure, but if it's not working, you got to step off that ship. Do you want to talk a little bit about that relationship, or what was it that was not working and how difficult was this decision for you?
They were not professional. And it was a huge agency, so a lot of artists under them. And I feel when that happens, you don't get the attention that you need, that it's harder for them to promote your work. And they wouldn't respond to emails. I wouldn't get paid for the jobs that I was doing. So it was just horrible in every sense. So it was not hard for me to make the decision to cut ties at all. And I think I've gone through 2 or 3 agents that were the same way until I got with Christy, who is the most amazing human being and agent.
She's very hands-on though.
She's there, and she's always wanted to keep the agency small, which is amazing because she's really hands-on with all of us. So she gives everyone, you know, the same attention, and she's always out there fighting for us and promoting us. So it's great.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's a really good relationship.
So we're going to jump into what is your process, because we see there's a lot of collage, there's photos mixed in it, some textures are from actual objects, and so I guess we can go into everything, what program you use, and how do you make the choice to decide what's going to be a photograph, what's going to be a collage, or what's going to be illustrated by yourself?
It's really hard to balance that out, because sometimes if I go too far in the collage, it gets so messy. So it's just been years of me fiddling and finding out the mesh. I usually, when I do the characters, at least a piece of their clothing will be a texture, or like denim, or a pattern on their shirt. So that will always be. And usually things like tree barks or little flowers, I try to put the little elements with the collage, and then the backgrounds I try to be watercolor and really soft, so it doesn't take away from the characters. I want them to pop off the page.
And that I do, yes.
And how do you do the characters? Are they digital or are they traditional?
Yeah, all my art is digital. I sketch everything in Photoshop. I'll bring it into Illustrator, and I'll do all the vectors and the flat work, and then I'll bring it back into Photoshop, and that's where I do all the painting.
Okay.
So do you take your own photographs, or you pick things online to use?
Both. I have lots of websites with the public domain photos, or if I can't find what I need, I'll just go out and take a picture myself.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So ahead of time, when you're sketching this out for the art director, do they just trust you and they're like, you do what you want to do? Or you're saying, this is going to be a photograph here, this is going to be drawn or illustrated?
Majority of the time it's me making the decisions. If they have, usually when I go to sketch, they just say, do what you want. And then obviously the sketch phase can take months, and if they have revisions and tweaks, I will tweak the sketches. But then my sketches are so detailed that the final illustrations won't have as much tweaks to them. I mean, there have been books where like the whole direction of the book will change, but majority of the time, yeah, I have the full freedom unless there's a specific vision that they're looking for.
Cool.
Very cool. I'm interested in that when you say the whole direction of the book can change. How did you handle that? I can imagine.
Lots of screaming into my pillow and yelling and complaining to my husband, and going on my Slack group with my illustrator friends, because they all understand. Yeah, there's lots of screaming and crying and doubting yourself as an artist and thinking you're horrible and why am I doing this, and then get over it, and just, like, what else can you do? Just cry and then move on.
I love this. You're a seasoned illustrator. How many books have you illustrated? And here you're saying, I doubt myself, and I don't think I'm going to pull it off.
I don't know if the doubt ever goes away. Every time I get a book like when a book has been published and I get my advanced copies, I don't think there's been one book that I haven't torn apart, that I feel I could have done better. I feel a good deed is probably, to me, the best that I've done. And it's probably the one book that I don't feel I tore up. I was really happy with it when I got it. And that's the first one out of, I have over 30. So
Wow.
I don't know if it goes away, sadly.
Say we're beginners at this, and I'm like, I've been drawing for so long, but every time I'm gonna put now it's in digital, so every time I'm gonna put what do you call it, these digital pencils on, I always think it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. And I'm like, well, I'm sure at some point we'll get super confident. I guess not
No,
really.
I mean, no, you'll get confident and then you'll learn to, you'll go through your work and not be mean about it. Just learn from it and say, okay, I can do this better with the next book. Like, you do it in a kinder way.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah.
Olga, I don't know how to cross these out.
Oh, that's fine. See, look at me. I learned something that Sunny doesn't know. Yeah. Okay, so she's the digital one, techie one. I am super old school. That she's talking about our list of questions, and the only reason why I know how to do it is because I wrote it on a little sticky.
See, I should have done that.
It's Command, Shift, and X. That's how I'm doing. My computer is full of little sticky and notes that I don't even know why I have a computer. I'm using everything.
No, to be fair, mine is too. Mine has like writing prompts and things all around mine.
To me, taking notes on paper is so much easier and faster than having to type it up.
Yeah, Holly, we were wondering if you are interested in writing as well, like, because we noticed like I think all of your books are illustrated by you for other authors. Do you?
I have 6 that I wrote myself.
Oh.
But they're board books. So my
my
next goal is to get a picture book published that I wrote myself, which I've been trying to do for years. It is so hard. I have so many manuscripts that have been turned down, but you just gotta keep going.
Yeah, no, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's like connecting. I would say it feels like throwing darts with your eyes closed and you don't even know where the board is, and you're hoping that you hit a bullseye right there. It's like, how? Because you have to connect with the right editor at the right time with the right manuscript, and hoping that they didn't have anything in that that vein in their list already. It's like, whoa.
That's like, you can't give up. That's why you just never know what will stick.
Yeah.
The stars have to align.
I think that one they decide they have to align. That's a good one. Let's see. So with your style, how do you get your manuscript that you're hired to do? Do you already know I'm going to use the same style, or you kind of change your style based on the book, or how do you decide?
Well, I have 2 styles. One is, but they still have similarities. Like if you look at it, you know that I drew it. But one is like Dear Girl, the Dear series. It's very simple, almost flat vector, and then the backgrounds will have splashes of watercolor. And that's what I got known for. That's like when HarperCollins scooped me up for the 2-book deal. It's because they saw a very simple ballerina drawing. It was just plain black and white vector, and her tutu was with just watercolor. So I've done both. Majority of publishers ask that I do like the full-on collage color, but I have had other publishers ask for the more simplified version. So it's if I have a choice, I always go with the full-on collage detail because that's what I love to do.
It's more fun.
Yeah. I love the little details, even though my hand starts cramping. I love doing it. It's just like leaving little things for the adults to find in the books.
Yeah, that's what was so fun is we were going through and I'm like, okay, wait, is this one the collage? Is this I love that the car it really caught my eye, and I was like, oh, it's a real car.
And the
then
bananas and
yeah, and the bottles, and then you're looking and you're like, oh, that's a real tree, because it just kind of pops out of nowhere. And yeah, I think it's fun for kids too, but I think it's fun as an adult too.
yeah, it becomes like an I Spy little with my little eye
Yeah,
Yes,
kind of
yeah.
game. Now you say you're digital. Do you ever just you're going through a magazine and you see something and you just cut it out and save it for someday, or is you're just finding everything online
Mine is
now?
all Pinterest. So I have
Oh,
my mood boards and all of my where I'm gathering all my research. It's all on Pinterest.
Oh God, that's gonna be fun to look at. So for us that we are still trying to find, and for all the illustrators that listen to the podcast that are starting to find, you said HarperCollins found your ballerina. Where did they find it? And I think I
My
know the
agent.
answer.
So this
okay.
is the story. It's the story gives me goosebumps. My agent and I talk about it often, and we're always teary-eyed about it.
Oh.
So when I first signed with Christy, how she works is she will email all of her list of editors, creative directors, and introduce the new artist that she has signed. And when she did that for me, within 20 minutes, HarperCollins emailed her back and said, we want to give Holly a 2-book deal.
Wow.
that's
Oh my
incredible.
goodness.
Yeah.
And the advance was the largest amount of money I've ever seen. It allowed me to buy my first house, to buy a car.
Oh
So
my
that
goodness.
and no one knew me. No one knew who I was. So they gave me a chance. She didn't even have books for me to illustrate. She just wanted to secure me, thinking that someone else might give me a contract and then I wouldn't have time to do books. And it took her, I think, the editor 2 years to find the perfect book, and she actually couldn't find the perfect book, so she thought of a perfect subject and hired Amy Krauss Rosenthal to write it, which then turned into
That's
Dear Boy
incredible.
and Dear Girl, which then made it to #1 on the New York Times. So it's just like I have goosebumps now because it doesn't get old. That was how many years ago? It's 2015, I think, is when I signed with Christy.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fairy tale story.
Yeah, no, it is.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, so basically the book was built around your art. Which is
Yeah, I think
incredible.
the editor, she just wanted to find that perfect book for the art style.
And it is, it's beautiful. It works perfectly.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're all lovely books, that whole series, but
Thank you.
that's amazing. But that makes sense why they're so great, because they're
Because they're made for them.
to go
And
with
because
the
of
art.
Amy, Amy she was such a well-known popular writer. So and I knew who she was. I had all of her picture books. So I thought that email was a joke. I'm like, who's pranking me right now? This can't be real.
Oh wow. No, that's amazing. that is a story that you have to hang your hat on and just
Yeah.
I have the email that Christy sent me with the book deal. I printed it out and it's framed on my wall. So it's whenever I'm having a bad day, like, oh, woe is me, I'm such an awful illustrator, I'll just look at that email and be reminded that no, stop thinking that way.
All right, good to know. Good things also do happen.
Yes, they do.
That's really cool.
Do you have any other projects that you're working on coming up that you can talk about? Or
I have on the go, I think I have 6 books on the go right now.
oh, wow.
And also working on animated TV series. I recently sold a show that I created. So that's fun. And the one book I can talk about is coming out in October, and it's with Roma Downey Jr., if you know who she is. I don't know.
I don't.
Like, do you remember the show Touched by an Angel?
Yes.
So she's the main girl, like the angel of that show. So she wrote a book and it's called Message in the Moon. That should be out in October.
Oh, we're gonna be looking for that.
That's a pretty title.
It was a lovely book, yeah, to work on.
Oh, cool. Like I said, you seem to always draw books with a soft, lovely friendship and just kindness message.
A sweet
Kindness, yeah.
message. Yeah.
The kindness is, it's a, you know, the value in a lot of my artwork. That's what I want to portray.
I
Definitely
like
is.
that. And I have to say, like, it is a friendly style.
Oh, thank you.
It's
That's so
yeah,
nice.
it's nothing is like, even the action, like, it's everything is just not soft, because you have strong darks and and high contrast, but and the lines of the vector are very strong and very straight, but still comes across as everyone is just being gentle. You know,
Mhm.
that seems to be the whole theme. Even I am looking specifically at the page at the beach. And I'm not going to give away too much, but there is this boy, the water has splashed and destroyed this castle. And his action are like, my castle is falling apart. And then the other kid is giving him a little castle, which, by the way, is a photo, right? I can see that. I was like, that is a little photo. That expression, there's drama in it, but it's not so aggressive drama. Yeah, like, that's, I think that's a nice balance that I picked up on that piece. I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
okay,
lovely.
my
Thank
eye
you.
went straight there in that little interaction between the two boys, because
Oh.
everyone else is quiet, but that is like the most movement in that page. So I like.
Really, oh, sorry, Olga.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, but I really like the page before that with the angle, the top down view of the couple, I guess it's a mother and daughter in a boat, and they're saving animals. Yeah,
Which
turtles
one?
and fish.
Aha,
Yes, I
there.
love that one. It's really lovely.
This one was hard for me because the perspective it's so hard to do over the top, like bird's eye
Yeah,
perspective. Yeah.
it works. So I love the boat. I love that the boat is all wood, and then the water is watercolor. Yeah, it's really cool. And
Oh.
I don't know how you do it, but I love that you leave white space. You leave a lot of white space on your
This
pieces.
this was intentional. This is probably the most white space I've had in this collage style, but that was, I knew going out I wanted the white space because it like the flow of it from one page to the next. I wanted the little hearts to come through on every page because that's representing the kindness flowing from one act to the next, where eventually on the final page it brings
Yeah.
all the characters together. So this book, especially the white page, was intentional.
Yeah. It works really well. I like it.
And I noticed you have the same S shape on the first page than on the last page, and it kind of tied it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have it, but the last page has grown. It's more,
Oh,
it has
yeah.
more.
I'm glad that came through.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's clear. It's clear your intentions are clear in the book. It's beautiful. It's very pretty.
Thank you.
It is
It's
really
fun.
pretty.
More than, like, it's pretty, it's beautiful, and it's kind, but it is fun. I'm like, I really enjoy it. I like we were discussing, finding the little things, the little things that we didn't notice. Like, there's a duck. Is that paper? Is that fabric? There's so much curiosity there, and I can see how kids would really like to look at this.
Oh, you have a lot of Easter eggs too. I just saw the unicorns.
You'll probably notice unicorns in almost every book because I'm a little bit obsessed with them. So
Very cool. What was your favorite thing about working on this book, or your favorite piece?
my favorite piece is the last spread because it's so detailed and I had to really think it through, because you'll notice that I took the kids throughout the book all come together on the last page.
Yeah.
Doing the kindness acts together. This whole book, I feel like I'm going to be cheating on my other books when I say this out loud, but this was probably my favorite book to work on. Not only am a huge fan of Jennifer, again, that was another surreal email because I've read all of her chapter books, so I was such a huge fan. So to get to do this with her, and then it's a whole book about kindness, which is what I try to portray in my art. And I got to go crazy with the color. I didn't have to hold back because they just wanted something happy. So it was, yeah. And nature, that's another one of my big things that I love to draw. So I just felt this project was so aligned with everything that I believe in.
That's beautiful.
It definitely shows.
When we do these interviews, this is my favorite question to ask, because I think it gives back to someone, to the next generation, or the ones that are starting next, or to yourself. So the question is, what advice would you give someone starting out, or what advice would you have given yourself when you were starting out, now that you know?
Both. So I wish that I had given or knew this advice before. It was, do not compare yourself to any other artist. Don't try to replicate that artist style. For sure, go and get inspired and ask yourself, why do you like this artist? What about their work are you drawn to? But don't try to force your style either. I feel like artists have been putting so much pressure on their art style. It's the biggest question. But mine took from like 2005 until now to blossom into what it is. And even still, I try to push myself with every book to try something new. So just be yourself, draw what you love. Don't try to force things that you think that you should be drawing, or think that will get the most likes, or what you think art directors will love. If you just focus on drawing things that you really enjoy or mean a lot to you, it will shine through on the page.
That's
Good
lovely.
advice. Yes, pretty.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's hard though. Isn't it?
It's hard not to compare. I still compare, but I catch myself now, so
Right.
I'll switch. Yeah.
Oh, that's one thing where we were talking about, like, it's okay. It's like we can't always stop things from happening, or like you say, compare, but then catch yourself and stop it.
Yeah. Yes.
But
yes.
Yeah.
This is lovely. I thank you. Do you have any other questions that you want to add in there?
Me? Oh. No, I think that covers everything. It was really great talking to you, Holly. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. This has been so lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're gonna stop the recording there, but this was really lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was really great talking to you.
Oh, you guys you're so easy to talk to, so it's great.
I just sit here and let Olga do all the talking.
Well, she does all the editing and all the
I jump in once in a while.
She got all the magic behind this thing that we started,
which I'm sure is so hard. I can't imagine how long it takes to edit.
Right? Yeah,
I terrible, but well, we're trying to make these shorter, because we used to have like 1.5 hours, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so long.
We gotten a little bit better. We definitely work better.
It more, like get it more.
And the
well,
thing
good
is,
for you guys.
we are not podcasters. This is not our thing.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I love your podcast, so you're doing
This began from a lonely thing that when you start your career, especially later in life, and you're like, I really wish I would have known some of these things, and hopefully by putting it out there, someone else can avoid.
I hope so. Right? Like I never want to sugarcoat things and just let people know that I struggled like you did.
I don't want to ask you this on the podcast, Holly, but like, how old were you when you?
So when I decided to make the switch into illustration, I was almost 34.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh gosh, I hope. We'll cut and put that in again.
We're not.
That's lovely. Well, if you want. Well,
you want to put it in? Oh, I didn't know if she wanted.
Holly, if you feel okay.
Oh, I don't care. I'm very open with how old I am. Like, I'm 43 now. I'm fine.
Okay. Because that is one of the themes we started. I got serious at 40.
We both. Yeah.
Well, good for you. There should be. Like, who cares how old you are when you start, as long as you start, it doesn't matter.
When you're dead, that's too late.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Any moment before that, it's okay.
Yes, I agree.
Well, thank you very much, Holly.
Yeah.
And thank you guys.
Good luck with the book and all these amazing projects you have going on.
Yeah, best of luck.
Yeah.
Thanks. And stay safe with
you. Oh, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I think it was an inspiring interview because it was, I mean, she did have magical moments where things just lined up and they were like, oh my gosh, that's the one in a million.
Yeah, but she struggled for years.
Hard. Yeah, she worked hard to get there.
Yeah.
It's almost like you work hard, really, really hard, and you get a lot of no's to get to a point where your talent meets opportunity, meets you're ready for it. Like, and the stars align and then magic happens. But she was honest about her struggle to get there and how many no's she had to go through. This was a good interview. It was, I keep looking at the work and I keep finding stuff and I'm like, I would have not, I would have never thought to do this. That's what it is. I would have never thought to do this style and look up, like, I really like this incorporating things. I did one illustration and I don't know why I did only one illustration like that, where I put kind of wallpaper behind and then it was a monster and a shadow, and I did use some actually, I have to tell you about that. In the graphic novel that I am putting together, I went and I took pictures of rocks to put the texture for.
I love that.
I did that, and for the cactus is my aloe plant. I was like,
awesome. I love that. Yeah, no, I think it's so fun. Textures don't have to be drawn.
No,
it can be a photograph. It can be paint. Yeah.
So this is what I learned from this interview, and I feel, looking at how successful this is, I feel like we can be more creative. It doesn't have to be a specific way when you're drawing something. It doesn't have to always look a certain way, and the shadows don't always have to make sense. And it's when we are so tied to technical aspects of the illustration, we kind of miss out on the fun things to try and the fun experiments. And I remember back in college, I did an illustration with ink, and it was we were just learning to use like the line quality and with pen and ink, and it was a seahorse, and I dropped some ink at the bottom, and that's it. I mean, this was before Photoshop, before we knew how to use digital. Back then it was all paper. And I were like, well, what do I do with this? I just have a big blob of black ink on I couldn't fix that. So what I did is I tilted the paper and I started making that drop of ink go up. And then I did another one, and that became the seaweed at the bottom of the painting.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, that was the first time I heard the word serendipity. And that's when my teacher has said, like, okay, this is serendipity. This worked out really good, and it came from an accident and from allowing yourself to play. And I think that's what I learned today from Holly. She seems to play more than I do, and in the illustrations. And I think I'm going to allow myself a little more play, a little less perfect. Things don't have to be so perfect.
Yeah, her book is lovely. I really like it. And she was very sweet.
She's super nice.
Very nice to talk to.
I like talking to people that are successful and they're still kind. I like that. Don't forget, we're all people. We're all normal humans.